ass! The controls are so ass!
Steady now. Just like that.
God, the controls are so fucking awful! Oh my god! It's so bad! What the f— Let's talk about let's talk about what I would say to my own account if I were giving myself a serious UID review. The BW, okay. Nice goblet. And like no one asked. 22 rolls of crit, 5 rolls of attack percent. This is actually pretty fucking good Varesa build. Iansan build, 14 rolls of crit rate, 4 rolls of attack percent, 7 rolls of ER. Pretty fucking good. Iansan build as well. The Vlur's build, kind of insignificant. This one's a little sus. Gaming build, it's what, 20 crit rolls, 7 ER rolls, so 27, 5 EM rolls, so 32, 4 attack rolls, 36 rolls. Pretty solid. We take those. Bennett on 260 ER should be pretty comfortable most of the time. And then you've got this stuff. So the advice that I would give myself if I was someone who wanted a UID review and redeemed with this showcase is Varesa's skill, getting it leveled at some point is worth it. And you can stay on Codex for a long time because your Codex is pretty good, so it'll take a while for your Long Night South to be better. Nothing to say about the Iansan build. It's pretty much the perfect build, honestly. Like, maybe you could get an improvement on the Sands, just if it rolls multiple crit rate rolls. But honestly, like, it doesn't get much better than this. Chevy build is okay. In the very long term, getting more ER rolls for more reliable bursts when you need the burst to proc Chavoise's passive to get the overcharge balls would be helpful. Daya build is obviously Omega scuffed, but honestly, Daya's build in this team does not matter. Ideally, obviously, you'd want to go triple EM main stats. Those her offensive stats don't matter. And refines on sack would help, but levels don't matter. Honestly, Daya build is ass, but there's no difference between a good Daya build and a bad Daya build in a team like this, unfortunately. Gaming build, honestly, pretty much nothing to say for artifacts. The Goblet isn't that great for an off-piece, but it's my only off-piece that has ER rolls, so I'm okay with it. Crowning Burst at some point is would be nice, but it's not urgent at all. Bennett build, honestly nothing to say. Xilonen should not be on Cinder City. Xilonen should be on Petra. Or Instructor. That would be quite helpful. Other than that, it is worth finding a better Goblet, something with some crit on it. Right? We do not have enough crit rate on this build. You really want more crit rate than this on Xilonen. And you don't really care about any stat other than crit rate. How is he Friendship 3 on Gaming? Because I'm not delusional enough to play Gaming in Overworld and in Domains. Finally, see Lolly build. ER is like fine. Could get more, honestly, but it is what it is. I wouldn't have too much to say, honestly. These teams are fairly well min-maxed, all things considered. A double crit Goblet on attack it could be good enough. Especially if it rolls EM last slot. Especially if you're using Arlecchino in an Iansan team, where you get less attack and more damage percent. Wait, I'm actually kind of curious. Could it be better? Probably not, but I want to check. I want to check. Base attack, attack percent, flat attack, total attack, damage percent. That's all I need to care about, right? Yeah. So base attack for Arlecchino. And I only care about my Arlecchino right now. 342 plus 674 attack percent. So what do you get for attack percent? I mean, you'll obviously get main stats. This is gonna be pyro percent. This is gonna be attack percent. So Sands. Also, please shut up. Sands. Pyro resonance. Noblesse. I don't actually use Noblesse, but I use pseudo Noblesse, so it's good enough. J-Wing Spear stacks. It's 3.2 per. Gonna average like 6. Lol W. Yeah, 2-piece. What else do we get for attack percent? Chevaliers. And Iansan C2. And flat attack, 350 plus 810. And then damage percent, 40% from Recension passive, 46.6 from Goblet, around 50 average from Whimsy, around like 9 from Jadewing Spear, 65 from Iansan, around, well, it's gonna average a bit less than that actually. Let's say 55 from Iansan. Around 55-ish average from Chevaliers C6. Is that it? Am I missing any source of damage percent? The attack. Bennett C6, this is not a team that uses Bennett. It is worse, but only by like 1.5 stats worth. That's interesting. So it's probably worth leveling at some point. Does Varesa electrocharge work? Kind of. It's not that the electrocharge is doing anything, it's that Farina's pretty good with Varesa. Like, when it comes to team building with Varesa, I think you need to realize that she doesn't really care about any reaction. What dictates the teams you build with her is not any form of reaction reliance or reaction dependence or anything. It's just synergy with buffing characters. You don't play her with Farina because Electrocharge is useful. You play her with Farina because Farina is a good buffer. You don't play her with Chevaliers because Chevaliers is, or because Overload is good. You play her with Chevaliers because Chevaliers' buffs are big. And it's the same way for every Varesa team. Is Xilonen worth pulling for? It depends on what exactly you want from your characters. If you're a relatively casual player who doesn't really know what they want to be doing with their teams, or if you're a relatively new player who wants to be ready for a bunch of new characters, Xilonen's a pretty appealing pull. Because she's very versatile and she fits well in a lot of teams. But if you know which specific characters you want to build around, which specific characters you like playing, in almost every case, their most powerful team does not include Xilonen. And so if you have already made your decision for who you want to play and you know you'll stick to that decision, Xilonen's pull value goes down quite a lot. Peak Patrol is the most powerful weapon buff in the game. Do you mean like it's the weapon that gives the largest buff? How much is it again? 25.6 damage percent. I don't think that's true. Yeah, 48% attack is more than that. 20% attack and 100 EM is also more than this. But, I think people often don't realize that when you go Peak Patrol instead of Fav on Xilonen, it often increases your ER requirements on the rest of your team. Obviously, if you're playing something like a Maoika team, it's not the end of the world. But even on a Maoika team, losing the Fav particles makes your Bennett burst harder to get, which can be kind of annoying. What's an example of a burst-reliant character that uses Xilonen in their teams? Sino? Okay, maybe I should have said good. Never carry Nevidet. You get a lot of particle generation in that team, so it's not that bad. But I guess we can still make the point with it. With Nevidet, Kazuha, Xilonen, Farina. This is 4. Okay, wait. Energy costs are 80. We don't care about the burst here. We don't care about the burst here. And 60. It's not 80, it's 70. My bad. You get 4 plus 7. 4 plus 3. 4 plus 1. 4 plus 9. Kazuha. Six. Xilonen 8. Um. 14. So without fives, it's this. Yo. And then their ER requirements don't matter, so I don't need to fucking rack my brain around that. So this is what happens with no fives. If you give 5 to Xilonen, or I guess maybe it's more like this. Whatever. If you give 5 to Xilonen, and it's a like high refined 5, both Nevilet and Farina ER requirements go down by like somewhere between 10 and 15%. 300 ER in Kazuha. Don't make me repeat myself, okay? I'm not looking at their ER requirements because it doesn't matter. They don't matter. You burst for fun in this team, okay? If you burst at all. Anyways, it's like somewhere between 10 and 15 less ER that you have to build, which generally translates to somewhere between 10 and 15 more HP percent, and HP percent is about as valuable as damage percent in these teams. In other words, Fav is giving you the equivalent of somewhere between 10 and 15% damage percent, and Peak Patrol is giving you 25. So the actual amount you gain from getting Peak Patrol is really not that big, man. It really isn't. Like, that's not to say it's not an upgrade, but I think people tend to overestimate how much it's doing for you. Is Pyro MC better than Xiangling and a Varesa Iansan Chiller's team? I don't have her built, but I might have to if it's better than Xiangling. They're pretty similar. I think Xiangling is better overall. But if you don't want to build Xiangling, you can use Pyro MC. Pyro MC's not bad, it's just The biggest upside Pyro MC can provide in a Chevreuse team is Cinder City. But Varesa teams already have Iansan. So you don't actually gain Cinder City, you gain like TOM and Noblesse instead. Which is less valuable, and which makes Pyro MC a lot less valuable overall. Alseco Xiangling, yeah. You do that. Technically, you can give Noblesse to Xiangling, true. I wonder if that's better. It might be. This Varesa's character is kind of not unpilled. Is it better to get Escoffier as a weapon or C1? That's a good question. I haven't calced how much C1 is doing. Just looking at it without getting into calcs, I would expect C1 to be slightly better for freeze carries, but the weapon to be much better overall for your account. Because the weapon is also going to end up being Chevreuse's best in slot. It's going to end up being Iansan's best in slot. It's going to end up being... I guess those are the main two. But, yeah. Mika's best in slot, true.